Welcome to Mom Sips and Tips.
We're here to sip and give you our tips.
Today we're drinking water.
And we're talking about Maggie.
Yay!
So tell us your experience about being a mom, because it was a lot different than mine and your kids are older. So I'm excited to hear your perspective.
Yeah, so my daughter is 23 and my son is 21. I was 21 years old when I found out I was expecting honeymoon baby.
Oh, nice.
Not planned, but it was a really good surprise. I always wanted to have kids. Whenever there was a family barbecue, I was always the one wherever the youngest baby was. So my family all knew that I would be first having children.
Yeah.
But admittedly, like my thoughts there were more about being excited and wanting to have a baby and less about what it was to be a mom.
Yeah.
So I wasn't preparing like a lot of moms who, plan for a baby would prepare. I was excited to have a baby. I loved being pregnant. I took one prenatal class. But I wasn't really thinking about like all the responsibility and all that of being a mom. I mean, turns out, yes, I was an awesome mom.
Yes. They came out alive and are great. So.
And I loved being a mom, but it didn't always feel good. And there's certainly now, 20 years later, things that I look back on and go, oh, I wish, and I should have, and, that kind of stuff.
I think that's natural, though.
Yeah. So when my daughter was born, I spent a good month at least rocking her in a rocking chair. That's all I did all day long. And so I thought like I was just like madly in love with my baby. But now when I look back on those pictures and I see like I never got out of my pajamas.
Oh.
I never did the dishes.
Oh, I thought you meant you're rocking her because she was like so like colicky or something.
No,
I
just
loved
wanted
it. Okay,
to
I take
rock,
back that face.
Yeah, I just wanted to rock her and be near her and stuff. But now
sweet.
looking back, I think that that's where like some postpartum depression started coming in.
Oh.
I got a shower every day, but I was in my pajamas.
Like you didn't want to
and
leave.
Nothing got done.
Yeah.
And then when my kid's dad came home from work, I didn't want him to do anything either because I had such cabin fever for 2 years of, just feeling isolated during the day that like I didn't want him to go anywhere and I didn't want him to do anything either. Like
I'm guilty of that now.
Yeah. So there was a lot of, I recognized when we were doing your interview, I recognized a lot of that in me also was, looking for my identity, a new identity anywhere. I tried to change my religion and
I didn't know that.
All kinds of stuff. Because, when you start out with a weak identity or a wrong identity and then you're going through some kind of transition in this and you just feel like you're in an identity crisis.
That's so true.
You're looking for value and validation and all that from everywhere. And that's a whole different topic. So a lot of the same stuff that you talked about in our interview, but also the other side of that, right before before I had my son and after I had my son, postpartum manic depression came in, and that looked like not wanting to be home and wanting to get out of the house and going out at night, dancing or whatever. And that was more wanting to feel young and pretty and, that kind of validation.
Did you feel like you wanted to feel like you again, or you just wanted to feel different?
I think there's several things there. Yes. And the fact that I was so young when I got married and had kids that I hadn't done any of the college and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
That I was seeking that kind of stuff too as well, like to feel like I wasn't missing out
on anything.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. Yeah, because I got that all out of I didn't have my son till I was 30, 31, 30, whatever. I was in my 30s.
Yeah.
So I feel like mine was different in that it's I felt like I had an identity, even though I see now that you're saying it was a weak one because I wasn't comfortable in who I was with some of the transitions I had before. So that makes a lot of sense for me now too, now that you're saying that.
Yeah. So if your identity is not rooted in something strong, like everything comes down from that. And so, it's important that you have your identity rooted in something strong.
Yeah, no,
and
so true.
Being a mom is not an identity. Your career is not an identity. None of that is your identity.
Yeah.
So something that I like to offer to my clients, again, coming from my own place of feeling cabin fever and feeling isolated is, I recommend that you find things to do. Moms groups, the activities at the library, getting passes to the zoo, finding things to do on rainy day before you have baby.
Yeah.
Or, if you've already had your child, like spend a day looking for these things and put them on your calendar. You don't have to do them, but on that day, if you're just kind of like, I want to get out of the house or I don't know what I'm going to do, like there's a free day at the museum today.
That's a good idea. I never thought I could actually do that now because a lot of times I'll be like, oh, I forgot that there was story time on Wednesday and he liked that last time and I should have. And I was like, we want to do something. And I'm like, oh, well, I'll just stay at home.
So that was actually one of the things that I did when I had my son 2 years later is I had 2 calendars, actually. One of the calendars had the activities on it. And one of the big activities was always when the next Disney movie was coming out.
That's awesome. So cute.
But then for myself, I also kept another calendar for the things that I actually did during the day. Because at the end of the day, when I felt like I didn't do anything or I didn't do anything for myself or I didn't get anything done, I was able to go back and look and see, no, you actually did all these things. Like,
oh, that's awesome.
You spent an hour with your daughter, reading a book and painting toenails together and you did a load of, and that was just for me to actually be able to like, what did I do with my time today? Right?
That's a good idea.
So that's one of the things that kind of came out of that isolation and cabin fever is finding things to do ahead of time and then what did I actually do?
Oh, are you that or like do you still keep a calendar?
I do. I keep 2 calendars still. I keep a calendar on my iPhone of my appointments and I keep a paper calendar of the things that I actually did. And to be able to look back over the month and over the years, like I've got a full life. These are the things that I did.
That's amazing.
These are the people that I saw. These are the activities that I did. Yeah.
I start out with really good intentions with calendars, and I've even gotten those like Erin Condren, like really cool ones. And I use it for like a month, and then I'm over it. And then I'm like, oh, I have to let this calendar around now. So then it ends up in the bottom of my closet where all things die. So
the calendar that I have where I actually do, like I keep it on a table next to the chair, like, and I'll just like, what did I do today? Oh, so it's not like a carry with you. I don't carry that one with me.
That's a great. I would do that.
Yeah,
because I do. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. What did I do today?
Tip. I like that. I would do that. Like I said, as long as I didn't put it in my pocketbook or anything.
Yeah, and then you can also find things that one of the things that I find when you're kind of feeling unhappy and depressed is to find the blessings in the day or to find the things to be grateful for.
Yeah.
And that was something else that came out of that. What did I do today? What did I see today? A rainbow or, the sun reflecting through the clouds and that kind of stuff. It's like, that's just me. I have to do that for myself.
Did you hear that from somebody, or you just decided to do that one?
The finding 5 things to be grateful, that it may have come from that.
That's awesome, though.
Sometimes it's hard to think of 5 things to be grateful for, but you start with the simplest things, and then, you get larger things to be grateful for.
That's great, though. That's awesome, though.
You're able to see better those things
that
you can
manifest your reality a little bit better.
Exactly.
You're not kind of in a clouded...
Yeah. Especially when you're in one of those valleys of life and you feel like nothing is going right, you're able to see them better if you've already got into practice. So that's something else that came out of that period of my life.
Oh, I like that. That's really good. I really am going to do that. I mean, no, I'm going to try. I'm so bad about stuff like that. Like I have a baby book, not one thing in it. Not one. I think Bob has 2. No, I didn't record any of them.
You will.
I mean, I think I put like the stuff in my phone, like when he walked, and I still have like all of our texts because I was like, Maggie, he walked. Here's a video. Oh my god.
Transparency. It took me 20 years to get my kids' photo albums put together because I didn't know how I wanted to do it. So they both have a baby book.
Yeah.
My daughter has a lot more pictures than my son does. The digital age came when my son was born.
I feel like it's harder now because you don't like all of mine are on my phone and I have 20 bajillion pictures.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I want to print these off. I'm
Which
like, but there's
one?
so many. I have to go pick through because I accidentally screenshot, on the new, I accidentally screenshot my screen 12,000 times a day. And I'm like, I got to go through and delete all of those. And I screenshot random stuff that I like.
So I got their baby books done, within the first couple years, but all the other pictures, the printed, I finally 2 years ago. And the problem here was I didn't know how I wanted to do them. Do I want to do them by subject? These are all the Disneyland pictures and these are all the birthday pictures, or do I want to do it chronologically? And I was stuck for years. And so I finally just started sticking them in the little cellophane slots. There is no order to them at all, but they are no longer in a bin. They're in.
That's perfect.
They're in albums.
That's perfect.
So don't feel bad about that.
Okay. I do feel a little bad. Because I'm like, what if he wants to look at his baby book one day and it's all blank?
Do you know how many times my kids look at their baby book?
None.
When I take it out and I go, can you please look at your baby book?
I oddly enough was thinking about this when I was in the shower today. This is really random that we're talking, well, not random, but that I even thought about it this morning. And I was like, I thought the same thing because I was thinking about my husband's mom passed away this past fall. And I was thinking about she has so much stuff and pictures and things like that. But it was for her. My husband likes looking at the pictures and stuff like that, but he doesn't give, 2 craps about his baby book either.
Yeah. I love to look at them though.
Yeah, I do too. I like to look at my mom made me a cool album and it's got the day she had me and stuff like that. And I like that, but it's not something I'm looking at every day. But yeah, I guess it just depends on the person. Bob's a boy. I'm sure he won't care.
But I want them to look at it because I spent a lot of time and money on all that, stickers and background papers and special acid-free.
Oh, yeah. I was going to get a full-on scrapbook and do all the cutouts and stuff like that. And I was in Michael's and I was like, are you actually going to do that, Julia? No. And then I feel like I would just look at it and put pressure on myself to do it. So I talked myself out of it.
So out of the postpartum depression and the postpartum manic depression, I am a single mom. I had 50% custody of my kids. Their dad was involved, but it was very, very hard.
Yeah.
I did have to go to work and make a living so that I could support my kids. And that's a whole nother episode, single mom stuff.
But you said he was very active.
He was very active in my kids' life. It was very difficult. He did get remarried, and then that's,
whole nother can of worms.
A whole nother can of worms of, the competitive stepmom and all that kind of stuff makes it very difficult. But I was fortunate in that my kids' dad was very active in their lives when he had them.
That's awesome.
But what came out of that was almost like 2 personalities. The weeks I had my kids, I was all about my kids. We did things. We went hiking. We went to Disneyland. We always had stuff. We watched TV together. But the weeks that I didn't have my kids, it was, doing those things that I missed out on. And it was almost like I was party mom one week and, perfect mom the next next week. I was living dual lifestyles. And I think that postpartum manic depression ran for several years, and the lack of identity only compounds how that looks. So there's a lot of that. So it was perfect mom every other week and party mom the other weeks.
Yeah. That's what you needed to do,
Yeah.
I mean, I could see that though, even in myself now a little bit, when we have our nights to go out, when I'm off the clock with my son, I'm sometimes I try and revert back to party Julia, which I can't hang like I used to, which I found very quickly after I had him. But I do. I'm better now, but I do catch myself at times being like, I'm gonna rage all night, and then the logical side, you're like, baby in the morning. Still doesn't stop all day.
Yeah.
Now doesn't want a nap. So,
And when I say I partied, I mean, like, I'm not a drinker and no drugs or anything like that, but like I couldn't stand to be home and sit by myself. There was that isolation again.
Yeah.
And there was, you know, the guilty feelings or whatever else. And so it was just like, I didn't want to be home. And so I was out dancing, or I was out, you know, doing something with my friends. And
mine was
I just didn't want to be home.
Mine was, I was too scared to leave the house to do anything.
Yeah.
Okay. So how, especially with you having with having both of your children younger, how did that play into your body image postpartum and things like that?
Yeah. So I gained 50 pounds with my first baby. It's a lot.
That's awesome. That's a lot of pie.
Yeah.
I ate a lot of pie
too. I never asked my husband, like, could I stay home and be an at-home mom? But it just made sense because at that time, you know, being uneducated and not being experienced in anything, the money that I would make would just go to pay for daycare.
Yeah,
so I
it doesn't
stayed
make
home.
sense. Yeah.
And so I did not want to buy clothes that after my postpartum period that would fit my new body.
Okay.
I swore that I wasn't going to buy any clothes until I lost the weight and I got fit and all that. So for a good 2 years, I was wearing my husband's clothes. Yeah. Okay. Which further compounded on not only, you know, did I feel bad about my postpartum body, because, you know, right now on the social media, you know, you see postpartum bodies, like people are being real. They're posting the pictures of their incisions and
I do like that a lot.
Their bellies and the mesh panties and all that. But like that wasn't a thing 20 years ago. And so I didn't know that, you know, that belly was going to be there for a couple of years. And postpartum depression and all that's just like compounded, and then you add on the fact that I'm wearing my husband's clothes because I
don't feel sexy, I'm sure
spend
too.
Money.
You know?
I did not feel sexy, and so they all fed off of each other.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah, so not having the resources to, you know, or even knowing that there were resources available, all these led into the reason why I became a doula.
Yeah, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
And she's amazing too.
Thank you.
That's one of the things that I did after I had him when I didn't like how I looked naked is I did get on Instagram, and I would seek out looking for those pictures to make me feel better.
Yeah.
Because I also saw the pictures of people that didn't look like that, just you blessed.
No,
you know?
well, and then
You
you've
know?
got some of those moms that they're workout moms, and they're like, "There's no excuse for you to look like this after 6 weeks."
That's cruel.
Yeah.
I don't think that's nice to say
Yeah.
to anybody. And everyone's body's, you know, different. And like I know for me, I could not do a lot of workout stuff because I had a lot of pelvic like instability in my bones and my hips, and I've still had that
right
up until I just stopped weaning because I was still making relaxin'. So I think that's not nice for anyone to say. Like, you shouldn't put that kind of pressure on yourself. And you just had a baby. Like that, like when your placenta and stuff comes out, that's like a raw wound inside of you. How do you think that's all going to heal in 6 weeks? That's not good.
And relaxin, just so you know, causes pain postpartum, and as long as you're breastfeeding, you're making it.
Yeah.
And it also can cause people to stretch their ligaments and their joints too far because they stretch easier when you've got relaxin, and so the next day they're in pain.
Yep, that's
because
me.
they don't realize that they have stretched further than they should have.
Yeah.
So these are things that the hormones that are in your postpartum that make it more difficult to be working out. And we talked about like the pelvic floor stuff and the diastasis and all that, and you know, you really shouldn't work out until someone has checked those things out and they say, yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
You're good to go.
Yeah.
Right?
I feel like, should we be blessed with another child? I'm not even going to. I say that now. Watch me be like, hopefully that's going to be not something that even crosses, you know, my mind. I feel like you should be more kind and realistic as far as what the situation is, for sure.
So I love seeing like the models and the movie stars and actresses, like they're posting their real postpartum pictures and saying like, this is normal. This is what postpartum looks like.
Wasn't it Julia Roberts that posted her, it might not have been Julia. She posted her, like her stretch marks in her bikini. And I was like, you're awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
you were already awesome, but you're even more awesome because
Yeah.
that's real.
Yeah,
That's
and
totally,
they're posting pictures, pumping, and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff, like showing, like, this is what postpartum really looks like.
yeah, it's really hard.
It's not glamorous.
No, it's not.
But you housed a baby.
Yeah. Funny story. Right after I had my son, and I was obviously upset at how everything was rearranged, and I was concerned about what was going on down there, I made my husband get on the floor and see what my vagina looked like. Right after I had him, because
Wow.
I wanted to know. But I didn't want to see it myself.
So you didn't want to just use a mirror?
No, I didn't actually want to see it, and I didn't want to bend over, but I wanted him, I'll tell you what it is. I wanted him to tell me that it was still okay. I'm sure it wasn't. It got okay. But yeah, but I wanted him to tell me that he wasn't bothered by it.
Do you know
I think is what
like
it is.
about that, though, is that you said, look at it, get a look at it, rather than hiding.
Yeah.
Rather than avoiding it.
No, I knew. I knew it wasn't well. But it's okay. It's all good now. It all heals. That's what it's made to do, but that just made me think about
Yes,
it.
it does. It will not look like
We
that
still laugh about
forever.
that. Yeah. Yeah, I'm still not sure what it looked like, but he said it was okay, so bless him.
Yeah, I mean, I get moms that, you know, they want their husband at the head of the bed during the birth, and they don't want them to see all that. And I get that, and I respect that. But I mean, you should have that level of intimacy with your husband. Should see that, you know, what your body's doing when you're birthing your child.
It's amazing. My husband thought it was amazing, and he
Yeah.
wanted to be in there.
I remember.
He wanted to see everything. I think that's cool, though.
Yeah,
you
it
know?
is.
I mean,
It
I know
is.
everyone's different. Some people don't think that that's cool, and I mean that's fine. That's
Yeah.
what it is. But it's a normal thing. Everyone, no, well, not everybody, but if you give him birth, that's what happens. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
It's awesome.
I know. I think it is cool. Right after I had my son, actually, I think I was like in such a euphoric state. I was like, I want to give birth 20 more times. And
She
Maggie
did,
was like,
literally.
Are you sure? I was like, yes, I love it.
Within a minute of giving birth, she said, I want 20 more.
Yeah, it was such a beautiful moment. Oh, I
Yeah.
loved it. Do you remember like like right after you had your children?
Yes, and I
such a-
felt that way with my daughter. And the minute they put her on my chest, I was like, she looks just like me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like I said, you know, I was young and focused on having babies, and I
Yeah.
always knew that I wanted to have babies. It was almost like playing house, you know, for me. And so like to be buying the crib and the baby, you know, the clothes and all that stuff, it was like playing house for me.
Yeah, it is exciting that way. Now, do you think had you been a little bit older, like waited and been married a couple more years, do you think you would have had the same experience?
I think that there's definitely value in being married a couple more years.
Yeah.
Before having kids. Not for everybody. Like, there are 21 and 22-year-olds that are amazing, and they get it, and they do their research, and they get their education on being a mom, and they know what it is going in. For me, I was very immature. I was very, I was clueless.
Yeah. I mean, I would say even that a little bit for myself.
But I didn't
Yeah.
even know to like, oh,
Yeah.
you should really maybe like look into these things.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know.
Yeah. Well, who really, I mean, unless somebody tells you, you know.
Yeah.
And like you said, when you did it, there wasn't the same easy access to all the information as well. And I
Yeah.
feel like women, like, even though I feel like people don't talk about this stuff enough, really didn't talk about it then. Mm-hmm. At least, I mean, I wasn't an adult then, but I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But-
I mean, I heard my aunt's story of birth, and I heard my mom's story of birth, and my mom was a single mom also, and that's what I knew.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know about all the resources that were available, and now there's even more resources available. So
Well, that's amazing, though, that you've got such a different perspective that you can see those things that you might have thought were negative or not good at the time, and you can bring that to your clients and your friends now, and you can say, well, this is how this happened, and I suggest maybe looking at a different way.
yeah, and everything I've learned, it's like in hindsight. So like, I didn't even know that there was such a thing as lactation people until after I had my baby, and I went to a lactation group, and I was like, I love this. Like, it
Yeah.
became my new passion. So I got a certification in lactation education, and then after I had my second, I didn't know that would be it at the time. It's like, actually, I did know that would be it at the time. I didn't know about doulas
Yeah.
until after the fact. I'm like, oh man, if I had had a doula, like none of this stuff would have happened, and I would have had all these resources. And so it's always been in hindsight.
Yeah.
Learned about those resources that are available.
Oh, that's so amazing. And having a doula, I mean, you don't have to have one, but speaking from someone who had one, it is amazing to have someone that's really kind of advocating for you, because I know I wasn't in a headspace to be like, oh, let me make all these important decisions. Have someone kind of guide you through that too.
Yeah.
So I think that's really awesome.
And for those of you who are like, what is a doula? And to clarify, because those who have heard of one think that they're midwives, we are not midwives. We have no responsibility as far as the health and the safety of mom and baby. We are informational, emotional, and physical support before, after, and during labor and birth.
And it was amazing. I had several moments, and we'll have another video with my full birth story, because I think it's cool because it's my birth story. But there were moments when the doctors wanted to push me to do certain things, and Maggie was really good about getting us to ask them to say, no, we want a little bit more time to do this, or no, we would like to do this, and it made a big difference.
Well, and again, some of that comes from my own story. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't know doulas existed, and I had a doctor that wanted to do, he wanted to break my water to speed things up during my labor. And after I said, no, don't, because I knew what would happen from my first labor, he did it anyway. And yeah. Yeah. And so, there's, the whole consent
Wow.
thing, and knowing the risks, and
Okay.
knowing that you're allowed to say no. And so, again, all this in hindsight.
Wow.
So, a lot of why I'm a doula and the way I am as a doula comes from my identity first, but also, the things that I've rolled through.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's amazing.
And of course, like all the education and training and all that stuff that I've
But
gotten
you can
along the
tell
way.
you love what you do. It's really amazing. I actually had like a list of people that I was going to interview, and I interviewed Maggie, and I was like, she's it for me. Maggie is my person. And now we're here, which is even cooler.
Yeah. 2
Doing
years
this.
ago.
I
2.5 years ago.
I know, it's so
Yeah.
crazy. It doesn't seem that long.
So, one of the things that I'd like to offer in hindsight, aside from the other things I've already mentioned, is make your marriage number one. Your marriage, if your marriage is good and you're taking care of your marriage, all of that, the parenting and all that will be good too.
Yeah. It's easy to not do that. Even though I feel like we do make a concerted effort to do that. I mean, after I had him, Maggie kind of kept pushing us to be like, go on date nights, go do this, go do this. But even now, I mean, our he's over 2 years old, and I mean, there's times I'll be like, we need to go on a date, or I need to have I can usually tell because I'm a little emotional, and when I haven't had enough attention, I get bitchy. So, and he's always like, do you need a little us time? And I'll be like, yes, I do. But it's easy even for him, because you get caught in doing the day in, the day out of just kid stuff.
And for those of you who may be thinking like, we don't have the funds for that, because we didn't, and you can't, you don't have no one to watch your child. There's ways of doing it, a picnic in your yard on a blanket with, takeout food while your baby is napping or sleeping. There's ways of doing it. You just have to put the effort into doing it. And you need to talk about things other than the baby.
The baby. Our first date night out, we went and got some dinner, and then we went to Yankee Candle Company, and we made candles with his pictures on it.
I got one.
Yeah, but it's like we were nervous too, but it still was fun. And we even the whole time we were like we cannot talk about him. We have to talk about us. And then 20 minutes later we're like, oh, but I miss you. But now we're good. Now we're like, when we go out, we're like,
you enjoy it now.
Yeah.
I remember because I was the one watching him on your first date night. But yeah, taking care of the marriage is super important first. A lot of people are making their baby like a number one. It's like, yes, your life changes when you have a baby. Your responsibilities change when you have a baby, but your marriage was first, or your relationship was first, and then came.
well, and you don't want to, when your kids get out of the house and they've left, and then you're left with your husband or your wife, whatever, that you haven't made time for, and you don't know them anymore.
Exactly.
I know I have many friends whose parents have split up because of that. And I've even had with my own parents when we all left, because my brother's only 18 months older, so when we all left to go to school, my mom was like,
what do I do now?
yeah, because she had us super young too, 21, and she, and they were left there trying to, have to refigure each other out. They just, it's hard. But I feel like that happens a lot.
It does. Well, that's the last tip I have for you today on this segment of Mom Sips and Tips.
Yes, and hit like and the subscribe button, and then you'll get to see our videos all the time, and there's going to be some really great ones coming up.
Don't forget to share us with your friends.
Yes, and like us on Instagram and Facebook.
Yes.
Yeah, and we'll see you on our next episode.
Bye.
Bye.